I wanted to come on really quick and talk about how my incarnation cross in my human design chart relates to my work that I do. Because this is where purpose, direction, and this love to serve others is going to come through for me. And so when I run the soul map, this is the information that I am using to help kind of gently guide my own personal ship of where I'm going. And so when I look at your chart, I look at your charts, I should say, and really parse out, some of the things that you're very good at, and maybe you're sitting in that shadow aspect. So I work deeply with you one on one to figure out, okay, here's what you need to look out for, and here is, some of the information of why you're here, what is going to bring you the most joy. So with my cross, it's the left angle cross of wishes. And this cross contains gates 50, gate 3, gate 31, and gate 41. And so that all comes together in the gene key to form the left angle cross of wishes. Now, the left angle means that there's a collective, it's not my personal destiny, that is more the right angle. The left angle is really this collective, some might call it karmic situation that I'm here to work out. So I look at the angle of the cross, and then I look at, okay, what are the gates that are in there? So when you look at your gene key chart, it's this like circle, and it has, a dot up on top, kind of up top, below, and then on the sides. And the top part is your life's work. And mine happens to be in gate 50, which is the gate of innovation from chaos. So gate 50, or sorry, not innovation, it's the cauldron. The cauldron, and this is the archetype of values. So this is what the tribe values, what the people value. And it's looking at what values can we hold now that are going to take care of the future generations. So me as a Native American, the idea of this 7 generations in the past, 7 generations in the future is important to me. So this gate 50 is this cauldron that is protecting that integrity of the tribal values and looking at the future generations and caring for them. Now, the shadow here, the thing that I have to look out for is the shadow of fear of taking responsibility, fear of speaking up and having to hold the line for the truths that I speak. And the gift here is being able to nurture wisdom that is going to help reform these broken structures. So, my gift here is seeing the broken structures and then offering the wisdom that is needed in order to help repair those broken structures. So think of all the systems that we have going on right now. There's a lot of systems. I work in, my career has been in supply chain, and I have seen hi Christine, and Matthew. I do. I have two sons. I have two sons. So, when I'm looking at the future generations and I'm thinking about what kind of wisdom can I bring in to discuss, Shaquana, welcome. And so I'm looking at those, nurturing that wisdom, providing that wisdom to help reform and essentially heal the. So my oldest son is 20. He doesn't live with me, and my youngest son does not like to be on camera. But thanks. So looking at this gate 50, this life's work is to help heal and repair and provide wisdom on how to heal these structures. All right. So that's the gate 50, that's the life work. Then when I move from gate 50 to gate 3, then I'm looking at the innovation from chaos, okay? This is where, when I look at that cross, so it's the left angle cross of wishes, it really is this midwife to a new way, a new order. And it baffles me on how many people will sit and complain about our current systems and how broken they are and how disparaging they are. You know, there's the low of the low and then there's the high of the high, and things are not getting better. It's almost like it's so chaotic, it's unregulated. And when there's that feeling of the system's broken, there's like two responses that really happen. One is to revolt against it and say this isn't right. So there's protests and there's people that stand up and they say like these systems need to be fixed, and that's great. You know, speak up and say the things. And then there's other people that see it and then they're just like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to be a victim to that system. So in this gate, this is a midwife of, you know, mutating, of taking that chaos and bringing innovation from it. And it's the energy here is organizing new life from chaos. And, you know, chaos happens. It's this, so gate 3, so gate 1 is more of this creative burst. Gate 2 is more of this feminine nature, and then gate 3 is like the innovation piece of let's take it somewhere. So when I'm looking at my incarnation cross and I'm looking at how does this, you know, weave into my purpose, I am looking at or reorganizing things. Like my brain, my strengths is made to reorganize. Oh, you got 6 people. Yes, it pops up and down. It's fine. So in this first gate, it's this mutation format. And then in the shadow of that is overwhelm and disorder. So when I'm feeling overwhelmed or I'm feeling disorder, I can know that there's some sort of shadow in there that I need to, you know, work on alchemizing and transmuting so that I can go to the gift of the, and this is where, like, if you think of birth, so think of a midwife. A midwife is there helping to birth something. And this isn't, you know, children. This is ideas and new systems, new orders. So when you're birthing something new, there's going to be contractions, right? That's how the ideas get pushed out. So it's going to feel a lot of pressure, and then there's going to be a moment of release. A lot of pressure and a moment of release, like when you go through that birthing cycle. So because this is this innovation, and it's so new in the gates, it's this innovation, you're having to move these really difficult thoughts, these really difficult ideas that are going to be really hard for some people to hear, because most people will say things have always been done this way, and so there's no reason to change it. There's no reason to shift it. If we change it, then, you know, it's going to cause the end of the world. And there's a lot of end day discussions that go on, and ideas that float around that people believe in. So as I look at this gift, it's not necessarily following a trend. It's birthing new systems before the old system fails, before the old system falls, because you're seeing like how it doesn't operate, how it doesn't work. So when when I'm thinking about this, I'm like, oh, okay. You know, a lot of what I'm doing is looking at how is the switch from analog to digital really serving us? Is it helpful? Is it something that is going to improve our lives, or is it something that is like quietly destroying us? And then if that's the case, how do I, hi Mohammed, how do I take these new ideas of still holding to this, the general structure, but adding something in new that's going to help create a little bit of harmony in there, still retaining our values, still retaining the tribal values. Then moving on to gate 31 is leadership by invitation. So this is being a democratic voice. I'm not out here being anti this or anti that, or I'm just pro let's be whole here. WHOLE. Let's be whole. Pro wholeness. So this energy is leading with vision and influence and not with force. I'm not out here trying to tell you you've got to do this, you've got to do that. I'm out here offering new ways of sitting in this broken system that we have. The shadow of this is manipulation. It's people pleasing, and the interesting thing is I spoke truth to power, and I saw some varying reactions. And sometimes you have to, put those ideas out there to see how are the reactions. So when I say that, you've got to have feminine intelligence in your system as well as masculine intelligence. This is not an either or. You have to have both. And you have to have them both working in synchronistically and together within your own system. Because that is what is being broadcast out into the world. And so when I look out into the world as a whole collective, and I'm seeing all these broken pieces, I see the trends, I see it for what it is, and I call that out and name it. So in this gate, it's really honoring my sacred voice and not silencing it, not people pleasing to silence it, not manipulating to be unseen. This is having a sacred voice that is inspiring alignment. And some people will hear it and some people won't. And I'm okay with that. Yesterday somebody popped into my chat and they were like, contesting me and saying you should say this or you shouldn't talk about that. And, okay, thanks for sharing your opinion. However, this is my channel. This is my way of sharing my information with people. So really honoring the gift of this gate of my sacred voice is important. I'm not forcing it. This is an invitation to you to really look deeply and become aware of your own internal situation that's going on. I'm speaking not from myself. I'm not speaking for myself. I'm doing this in service to God. This is a service to the collective. And I can see what the cost is of not doing it. The cost of being out of balance in your own skin. The cost of being imbalanced in your own mind. I mean, I have friends that have schizophrenia. Their minds broke. It split. It's like MK Ultra. And it's, sad to think that that is happening to people on a grander scale. And it's going to happen more unless we start having a really serious look at where we're at internally, So there's a cost of this systemic imbalance. And then gate 41 just kind of rounds out the cross of wishes. And this one is called the dream seed. This one is the gate of imagination. So with this, the energy is all about the human experience. It carries, it's the dreams. It's really looking at, what are your dreams? What do you see for the future? I want to hear it. I want to hear what your dreams are. So, and then in this dream seed, as we're looking at what that imagination is, we're also looking at what the pressure is to dream something entirely new, to have a world that is entirely new. And it's not like entirely new, because I think that these are all kind of like, there's nothing new under the sun is very true. And so I don't want to say entirely new, but it's new to us in this moment, in this time frame that we're in this cycle that we're in. So the shadow of this, as I'm looking at it, is fantasy addiction or even escapism. Where am I escaping to so that I avoid having to dream something new, that I have to carry that out? Or even escaping. Like, what am I doing? Am I hiding? Am I running away from, what I was meant to do here? And the gift here is catalyzing, being the catalyst to visions that are worth living. And so when I look at that, especially with that gate 50 of, the city of harmony, this awakening state of being in harmony, that's my biggest challenge. Just because it's a gift, it doesn't necessarily mean you're sitting in that gift. Just because it's part of your awakening process doesn't necessarily mean you're always sitting in that. And I think that's really hard for people to kind of grasp. So essentially, when I'm looking at this left angle karmic input as a midwife of a new order that is going to be coming, because we all feel it in our bones, is that there is some form of breakdown, there's some sort of collapse. And that's what happens when you have this masculine only governance. And what do I mean by that? Like, you have this, I talked about it really well yesterday in my stream, Wisdom Dance. But you have this lack of feminine intelligence input in our systems today. And that's the thing that I'm naming, and it's speaking truth to power. And, like I had said at the beginning, I understand that people are not going to want to hear that. They're not going to want to address that in their own systems. And that's completely fine. And like I said, this is an invitation. It's not like a power force thing that I'm trying to tell you what to do. So that's how I use my own cross to really see, like, where is this going? Where am I going? How am I to be used in service of the divine? And that's a question that I think a lot of people have on themselves. And that one I would pose to you that are listening. If that rings true to you, how clear are you on getting into that space? How clear are you in devoting yourself to a higher purpose, something that is going to bring transcendence and identity and, this beautiful awareness to yourself. So that's part of the soul map reading that I do. There's Celestic Soul Maps. There is a July special going on right now. So if you want to get your soul map, it's great. I got one. I didn't have one the way that I've designed it, but I had a reading done in 2022, which kind of sparked this whole thing. So now we're what, 3 years into it, and now here I am. I can tell you that I've went back to that reading and have looked at it quite often. So it's just a good way to kind of anchor that into 2025, which I've found to be a very activating year. I don't know if anybody else is feeling like the amount of activation this year, but it has been, I named it the year of refinement, and it has been such an activating year. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining. I just wanted to pop in quickly and talk about, how I'm using my incarnation cross in, you know, forming and helping in my work. And I am simply a midwife of this idea. I'm not the one that's birthing it. I'm simply the midwife that is walking with people and just calling it out, naming the truth to power, and being that voice. And it's fine. I know I'm going to take a lot of spears and arrows and daggers, and there's going to be a lot of pain that comes into it, but that's part of the birthing process. Is there is pain associated with it. You got contractions. You're pushing out these new ideas, and that's a very difficult thing. It's very terrifying. I remember the first time I was pregnant, I was terrified of birth. And there was like no turning back. You had no choice. The baby is going to come out one way or another. These ideas are going to come out one way or another. And we get to choose on how that goes. And like I said, everybody's is different. Just because I have this cross in my energy field, in my energy blueprint, does not necessarily mean that you'll have that. You will have a totally different one that you're working on. So I hope that you are inspired by this, and that you join me in getting a soul map. I would love to do that reading for you, and it is a comprehensive report. It's about 12 to 16 pages, and then we do a little 30-minute one-on-one where we kind of talk about some of the questions that you have that popped into your, mind and your field of what information is being brought forth. And it's very illuminating to you personally. So, all right, I'm going to go pick blueberries. Bye, guys.